the more that it can get whatever it needs. Whatever it needs. The information can come from any source, any human being. When you become powerful in a certain way, you can develop yourself to receive information from anywhere. However, the problem with this is you become like a cell tower. Information will ping through you and across you. Your own natural technology is now something you have to learn how to manage. What used to be something that was just a beautiful body to live in it used to be just for you. It used to be a place. But by your seeking, simply by your seeking, you drew it towards you. Because that is the basic ingredient of all. Once you want to seek something, once you want to know something, you will draw the answer to you. You want something to believe in, it will draw itself to you. You want something to make you stronger, you will draw it to you. The better you are at this process, the more things you have access to. The more things you have access to, the more you must tune your tools within inside of yourself. Be very, very diligent in where you look to for advice. Be very intentional where you place your energy. Are you the one that speaks? Or are you the one that is spoken to? If you're the one that stands on a stage and speaks alone, then you will most likely be just fine. Because others will have your consciousness within inside of them, reminding them of the truth that you are. So as you live, they receive education from you. But when you actually care about anybody in the audience, then you create conversation with them. And if it's not the audience, then it's someone of a prominent position. So, if you've ever believed in a technology, the natural ones are the ones you need to learn how to manage. Because by you wanting to know, simply by you wanting to know, when you're tapped in, by you wanting to know, you'll receive the information. It's not necessarily information that can help you. It's not necessarily information that can guide you. It's not necessarily information that will be usable to you or uplifting in any way. This means your natural frequencies, anyone's natural frequencies, can be used to glean any information on this earth. And this is why developing limits within your tools within inside of yourself, not just developing limits, but truly knowing what you're capable of. The only place that you should ever have the desire to get information from is yourself. And if you want information from a physical source, then you pay physical money for it, or you read a physical book, because this allows you to have a barrier between you and other people. And this is very effective in learning properly. Because the moment that you desire to glean the information without paying for it, without creating a physical barrier between you and the world and you and the information, you give everyone access the same way as you access. And this will put as much pressure on you as it is uncomfortable for others. So it's every decision and every day that you really learn how to manage your gifts. Because if you truly want to know about anybody without actually calling them, without actually having a conversation with them, then you're using your internal gifts within inside of you. And it's something that the world has already started to develop. So it's not something that you can actually escape until you learn how to manage these gifts, until you learn how to properly sleep, until you learn how to properly think, until you learn how to properly glean information, until you learn how to create the proper pathways. It is required that you learn these valuable traits. Because just like anything, it is only a pathway. And if you are addicted to the knowledge, then you will be addicted to tapping into other people. And if you're addicted to tapping into other people, then they are as well with you. For whatever reason it be. Whether it's for an actual fact and something that can help, Or is it actually just for entertainment? Depends. Depends on the type of people that you have attracted to yourself. Depends on the valuable people that you've attracted to yourself. So if you truly feel like there are people that are having conversations with you, it's because you asked for their opinion. It's because you want to know what they think. And this is normally okay with somebody that you've chosen to be in a commitment with. This is why you normally will have an intuition on what they're really doing. So when you truly learn how to develop your mind, when you truly learn how to develop your spirit, you have to do it in a way that is so different, the mentalities that you have to create this. This is a part of a transformation that is involved, because you're required to be powerful, to be alive. It is your position. However, you have to learn how to manage the internal tools that you're given, which is the attraction of whatever you want. Any information you want, you can have. You are the internet within inside of you. And yet, it is the most difficult thing to survive. To realize you are the one that has all the power. That you are the one that asked for the information. That you're the one that gave your opinions. And so the mentality that you are, and the words that you have deep within inside of yourself, radiate into the world in ways that continue to solidify who you are. Because everyone will always remind you of who you are based upon what you continue to transcribe. So the internal desire for you to know about someone keeps you attracted to them. And if you want to get rid of them, you will have to stop wanting to know. If you want to stop hearing the truth that they're sharing, it may not be a truth that you like. It may not be a truth that you align with. But the more you want to know about them, the more that you require to check in on their energy, the more that you want to know if they're okay, the more that you want to know what they're thinking, what they're doing, and how they do it. You can only ever ask based upon your own internal mentality. So you will always be limited to who you are. They could be the vast knowledge of the entire universe. And if you do not know how to type into Google the correct things, you will only get whatever else you type in there. And it is the same when you are asking people. You ask them what you are looking for, and you get the answers of what you are looking for. This is a natural ability that everyone has. When you ask the random universe, you get a random answer from whoever, whatever is willing to share, which is majority of people. But in order to be elite, in order to be at the top, in order to maintain certain value systems for yourself, so that you can own yourself and not have everything you've ever done be in full transparency, is actually impossible. You have to learn how to train yourself to think. there are certain powers that you will not be able to have anymore if you actually want to come off the spiritual internet. If you actually want to have a peaceful life, power must be relinquished. Because the power itself, for you to gain anything and draw anything towards you, is what keeps you in that specific place. So if you truly want peace, and you truly want to create a valuable life for yourself, you can't want to know anything, and you can't desire to attract anything. You cannot even invest in things that you do not want for your own self. So as you look at something on the internet, and if you do not specifically want to be that is in the image in front of you, then don't pick it up. Don't read it. Don't press play. That's your choice each and every day. Because the more powerful you are, the more you become it. And the more actually intrinsically connected to someone you are on a deep and profound spiritual level, the strongest person will keep everyone in tow. So when you're tired of hearing the same story that you don't want to hear, it is your requirement to use the addictive principle of leave and cleave. You must leave the energy that you seek to know so much about, and you must cleave to yourself. You must cleave to the understanding that is deep within inside of yourself, because you will always have the answers. You will always glean what you need, and it is far better to buy a book and read it. It is far better to find it in the physical reality, because when you are powerful enough to know everything that is in the energy, you are also submitting yourself to that power. But if you are someone who doesn't want to know, if you are someone who doesn't require that conversation, then you are no longer powerful. And it might be just the best thing that has ever happened to you. You do not desire to have someone else's thoughts in your mind. Because if they're connected to you, then they have it too. So if you have someone else's thoughts in your mind, then it is them who have also entered into this kind of power. Telepathy is not an easy thing to overcome. Neither is the channeling of energies. You can have anything you want to, but the cost is high. Where do you truly want to live? Into the fantasy land? Do you ever want to be real? Do you ever want to be real? Do you want to use your fantasy land, your abilities, to actually create a reality that you want for yourself? But then you have to stop dreaming that everything in the dreamland is where you want to be, because that's where it will be stuck. You have to start taking what you want in the dreamland and apply it to your physical reality. You actually have to take yourself out of the fantasy land, otherwise you will be stuck there for the rest of this brain's existence. And possibly, if there is this beautiful thing called incarnation, then you will just get used to always living in a fantasy land, and your physical reality will be different. Because the intuition and the knowledge was designed for you to receive it in your mind and receive it in your heart and do it in your physical reality. But if you judge what is coming inside of you, then you will never have your dreams. You will never have the person that you truly desire to have. Because you have to actually do something about it. And this is why it is so dangerous to even think of another image in your mind. When you love someone, it is only them that you are meant to put in your mind. And speak out the truth to them. Because as soon as you think of someone else, you send them energy and you pull them in. You are that powerful. You can call anyone with telepathy. But when you do, you draw them in and you tell them your truth. The question is, how many people have you done this with? How many people do you dream about? How many people do you really want to be about? Because the more you do it, the deeper the magnetic, the more you are in this fantasy land, the more the fantasy land has to come to life. Because it becomes more real than the reality that you are living. And if you do not pull it into the reality that you are living, you are the person that continues to keep yourself away from your own deepest desires. So you will be the only one that will ever be responsible. And in order for you to truly live the most beautiful life that you've ever wanted to live, you have to bring your fantasy into reality. If all you ever wanted was peace, then you have to get over the desire to access anybody else's intuition, anybody else's knowledge, anybody else's opinion, anybody else's anything. This is why I have come to you for almost a year now, saying being alone is where power is, because you must access everything from inside of yourself. You are your own deity. You must live for yourself, by yourself, because of yourself, for yourself, in the pleasure of yourself, as the expression of yourself. This will give you the direction that you require. Because every time you think of another mind, you think of another face, you think of another kind, you put yourself in a war with them to argue and prove your truth. So anytime you're in competition with anybody for any reason, you will continue to keep yourself stuck in that conversation. And if you do not like how that conversation continues, you will actually manifest things for other people. And it is never anyone's intention to use their mind to do things. They just want to get rid of them out of their mind. They just want to have peace. But the only way to have peace is to stop asking about them, to stop thinking about them. And the only way to ever do anything differently is you must leave the thought and the desire and cleave to a different thought and desire. It is the same addictive principles that you use to stop eating certain foods as you stop eating one thing and you start eating another. It's the same way with your mind. It's the same way with your spiritual gifts. anytime you desire someone else's opinion, it will always be given to you. The more powerful you are, the more opinions you can drive towards you. The more people that are involved in telling your story. Because you can actually give your story to anyone. And in this day and time, people can read cards, and it is never the cards they are reading. They are tapped into a conversation with your energy. And I know because I've done it. Where are you asking for information to come from? Where are you asking information to come from? Are you asking from yourself? There's nothing wrong with using tools to ask yourself about yourself, but as soon as you ask someone else, and they like that conversation, they're going to want to come back for more conversation. And the more that people like how you think and you act and you know and you go, the more you better have people who actually uplift and value you and your story. To be transformative is a very powerful gift. But you have to know how to manage your own energy. The more people that look up to you, the more you have to know how to work your gifts, your abilities, your brain, and what you even give yourself access to. Like your own passwords. Your whole life is on display. The more that you ask to be in the spotlight, the more the spotlight shines on you. To be a true influencer at the depth of your soul, you will be able to actually transcribe everything. You have to learn how to develop certain skills. My name is ENYELAH. The one way to have a conversation with me is ENYELAH.com. This is the only way that I feel honored and valued to have a conversation with anyone. Because I can actually tell you what you didn't truly just ask for, but what you truly desire to know and are unable to even dictate for yourself. I can surprise you and give you great value outside of your current restrictions. So many of you have had conversations with me in your heart and in your mind. It is actually a thing that happens. You have received my consciousness to have conversation with. And because my consciousness is solid in who I am, it provides you answers. Learning how to tune this to a specific set of values is what I've learned how to do. It is one of the most difficult processes because transparency is valuable. And yet so is withholding personal information. What kind of guide are you? What kind of leader are you for your country? it is important that you create a valuable transparency. And it is also very valuable that you create integrity. Understanding and knowing how to manage this puts you in the top, because most people have no idea that these things even exist. The internal technology that is built naturally inside of you to attract your own reality, to give you the insight when you are walking, when you're talking, when you are moving, who you are, how you value life. And everything I say is always insightful into some area of your life, but it is still only the limits in which you can see and know, because that's all you can receive. That's why a conversation with me in the physical world, in a real reality, changes your entire everything. Because I show you things that I personally can see that you haven't completely asked for. You've asked for 1% of that knowledge, and I give you a full 100% look at the entirety of what that is. And it changes you. Because now you see a totally different reality based on what you've been desiring. Thank you for investing in yourself to understand and know your deep values, the gifts that you have, and the abilities that need to be managed, maintained. You're very valuable, and that's why you're here. It'd be my pleasure to have a conversation with you in person, because I'm sure we've already had many in other ways and in other places.